Hi, and welcome back to the Forgive Yourself podcast. I'm Brenda Reese, your host, and I'm really glad that you're with me today. If you have ever prided yourself on being the strong, capable, and independent one, the one who is it all handled, who rarely asks for help, then today's conversation might feel especially familiar to you. We're diving into something I see show up in so many women that I work with, and something I have lived myself: the hidden cost of hyperindependence. So grab a cup of tea or coffee, take a breath, and let's explore together. Let's start with a simple distinction. Independence is healthy. It's knowing you can stand on your own 2 feet, take responsibility for your life, and provide for yourself. But hyperindependence? That's independence turned into armor. It's when self-sufficiency becomes a survival strategy, a way to protect yourself from ever being let down, abandoned, or hurt. Hyper-independence can sound like, I don't want to owe anyone anything. I know that one. If I want it done right, I'll do it myself. Oh, Lordy, have I said that? Needing someone makes me weak. Have you ever said or thought these things? I know I have. And beneath those words is usually the deeper story. Like, I've been disappointed before, and I'd rather protect myself than risk it happening again. Hyperindependence rarely just shows up one day. It usually has roots. For some, it's childhood wounds, maybe growing up in a family where your needs were not consistently met. You learned early on that depending on others often led to disappointment. For others, it stems from a betrayal or an abandonment, a broken trust that made you decide it was safer to rely on only yourself. And this can happen really young. And then there's the cultural conditioning. Society often glorifies the strong, independent woman or the self-made man, sending the message that needing others is weakness. Remember that old commercial, I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and never, never let you forget you're a man? Oh, God. Yeah, that one. So, hyper independence is really a survival strategy. It's your mind saying, if no one gets close enough to hurt me, I'll be safe. Now, here's the paradox, though. Hyper independence can make you feel powerful in the short term, but over time, it takes a toll. So let's look at a few of those hidden costs. One of them's loneliness. When you keep people at arm's length, you may avoid disappointment, but you also avoid intimacy. Connection requires vulnerability. It's like learning for me, when I close my heart, right? It's not that I can let love out when I want to. It's that if I don't receive it, I can't give it. Does that make sense? Then another cost is one-sided relationships. You give, but rarely allow yourself to receive. And over time, that imbalance creates resentment and exhaustion. And it even causes, like for me, my body to break down. Then that leads into emotional burnout. Carrying everything alone, my friend, is heavy. Without support, burnout is inevitable. And then another cost is your unmet needs. And I have another episode about this, but your needs don't vanish just because you silence them. They show up in other ways, like irritability or detachment or silent longing. And then there's the cost of sabotaged intimacy. The heart of intimacy is mutual trust and that vulnerability, the V word. If you wall yourself off, Your partner can't truly get close, or even your friends, no matter how much love or chemistry. Do any of those sound familiar? You know, if so, you're not alone. Not alone at all. So, here are a few quick questions that you can ask yourself. So, this is how we're going to identify hyper independence. Do I feel uncomfortable asking for help? Do I struggle to share my feelings, even with people I trust? That's a big one, especially for my clients. Actually, that one's a big one for everyone. Do I struggle to share my feelings, even with people I trust? Remember, these beliefs sometimes can run super deep. And there's a part of us, and a younger part of us, that was hurt, betrayed, abandoned, rejected when we shared our feelings or we were shut down, right? If you answer yes to this one, you're definitely not alone, because that's one of the major things that I work on with people is identifying their feelings and being allowed to have them. You can have feelings. That's what we're meant for. We're sentient beings. We're supposed to have feelings. Another question to ask yourself is, do I pride myself on not needing anything from my partner, my colleagues, my kids, my boss, anybody? Yeah, that one hit me hard. Do I withdraw during conflict instead of leaning in? Oh my God, I used to want to run. Yeah, that's not a good way, right, to handle difficult conversations. And another question to ask is, do I secretly crave deeper intimacy, but I feel unsure how to allow it? If you answered yes to any of these, hyper independence may be showing up in your relationships. So, how do we begin to soften this armor that we have built up with good cause? Let me stop for a second. Don't beat yourself up. If you have this, if you've built up this armor, or if you become hyper independent, this is the part of you that needs you to really love on that part. Really accept that part, because this was done for safety. It had a purpose. We just may not need that same purpose today. So we need to give that part of us a different job, right? So, how do we begin to soften the armor without losing the strength that we've built? Well, I do like suggestions and steps and, ideas to get us going. So, let's take a look at a few. So, step one, we can acknowledge the wound beneath the armor, like I was just talking about. There's a part of us, there's a wound there. Hyperindependence is a response to hurt. Naming that is powerful. So you could say, I learned to do everything myself because I was let down, but I don't have to stay this way. I have a choice. Step two, redefine what it means to need. Needing someone does not make you weak. It makes you human. Try reframing your thoughts. Instead of, like, I have to do it all, maybe you can try, I can be strong and still receive support. See how that lands in your body. Step three, practice receiving. I know. This one's hard, but we're going to start small. Maybe let a friend treat you to coffee instead of you picking up the check. This is another one that you can practice. Accept a compliment without deflecting. Oh, this whole thing? Or, oh, yeah, whatever. Yeah, just accept it. Oh, gosh, thank you so much. Without even saying it back to the other person. Just receive. I know it's asking for quite a bit, but this is small steps. You can also ask for a small favor, a small one. Could you hand me that? Could you pass me that? Could you take this somewhere for me? Could you pick up something for me? Yeah. What I want you to do is notice the discomfort. And then I want you to stay with it. Breathe into it. Just stay with it, because if you do this, it will move through. And over time, the receiving will get easier. Step 4, communicate your needs. Whew, this is a big one. So let's try some phrases like, I'd love it if you could check in with me during a busy week. Okay, ask someone to check in with, like, I've got a busy week coming and I usually are not able to reach out. Would you check in on me? You would be surprised at how many people would jump at that chance because they're making up stories in their head that you don't like them or you're too busy for them or they're not enough. When you allow someone to give to you, you open up a receiving giving channel that is amazing. So you can ask, hey, I got a busy week. Would you check in on me? Okay. You can also try, hey, if it's with a partner or a special friend, I really need reassurance when I'm anxious. Can I ask you for that? Okay. And you can also say, especially to a special friend or partner, I'd really like more quality time together. I really don't feel like we're getting enough, if that's what is important to you. Now, at first, it may feel very scary, but intimacy grows when needs are shared. Now, step 5, notice safe people. Not everyone has the capacity to meet you where you are, and not everyone's meant to. That doesn't mean that your needs are wrong. Safe people listen, respect your vulnerability, and honor your boundaries. Okay. So sometimes we expect people in our lives, like family or friends that have been around for a long time, to understand us, to get us. And then we find ourselves kind of irritated that they don't. That's when we just notice, okay, maybe they're not capable of that. And that's important. It's important to note because there are people in your circles that are safe for you. And I think you probably have an idea of who that is. But really, respect yourself by having those boundaries. Okay. And then step 6, the last one, is seek support in healing. Now, sometimes, right, we need guidance in dismantling our old survival strategies. So, therapy, coaching, group work can help us to learn to trust again with ourselves first and then with others. So, if you're ready to take this deeper, right, about looking at this hyper independence, whether you have it, what it's costing you, what you can do about it, here's a journaling practice I would like you to try. Now, I know some of you is like, oh God, Brenda, here she goes again with journaling. But there's science proves it connects the head and the heart. It really moves, it helps us move out our emotions. So just try this, please. Just try it. And then let me know what you think about it. What I'd like you to do is write about a time when you needed someone, but you did not ask for help. How did that feel? And then write about a time when you allowed someone to help you. What was that experience like? And then number 3 is list 3 needs you often silence in your relationships. And then number 4, write an affirmation that reframes needing as strength. Something that you can believe, right? So maybe something like it's safe to let myself be cared for. I can be strong and still need love, right? And then, as you know, I've talked about this before, we can add in the word willing because our brain will accept that because sometimes it shuts it out. It's like, nope, nope, it's not safe to let myself be cared for. How about I am willing to believe it is safe to let myself be cared for? Or I am willing to let myself be cared for. I am willing to believe that I can be strong and still need love. I am willing to try to receive. I am willing to practice receiving, right? So we can use the word willing, and I love that because it opens up my mind to, oh, okay, maybe I can do that. These simple reflections can help soften the edges of hyperindependence and open the door to connection. So, hyperindependence may have helped you survive, but it does not have to define your future. You can keep your strength and independence while also embracing interdependence. You can let yourself have needs without losing yourself. True intimacy isn't about weakness, it's about courage. The courage to let yourself be seen, supported, and loved. So as you go about your week, I invite you to notice, where might you let someone in, even just a little? Thank you so much for joining me today. If this episode resonated with you, I would love it if you subscribed, if you shared it with a friend who you think might be able to relate to this hyperindependence. And if you're curious about working with me more deeply, you can learn more at brendareesecoaching.com. Now, until next time, remember, you don't have to carry it alone. Connection is where freedom lives. Until next time, take care. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy it, would you do me a favor and share this episode and then follow us on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss one episode of the Forgive Yourself podcast, where every Friday you will get tips, tools, and stories so that you can turn your pain into peace. Take care.